All right. It is a pleasure to welcome to the show Brett Dobson, currently playing collegiate lacrosse at St. Bonaventure. Brett, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, well, I appreciate getting the time to chat lacrosse goalie. Where did it all start for you? That's where I always like to. I always wonder how goalies get their start because it's such an odd position to end up in. But do you recall the first time you jumped into goal?
Yeah, so I think the first time I kind of jumped into goal, so I actually started out playing player when I was younger in like paperweight, went back playing box. My dad was kind of on the coaching staff, and one game our goalie actually kind of ended up getting heat stroke. So I was kind of just like, I'll go in net, might as well do it. And I kind of enjoyed it, kind of stuck with it there. But kind of looking back at it now, it's kind of funny because that goalie who was actually on the team was a girl at the time. And she actually ended up at St. Bonaventure as well, and she currently plays on the women's team. So that was kind of unique how, she's one of the women's goalies there, and I'm one of the men's goalies there. So that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. So growing up in Canada, it's a lot of box, right? It's a lot of like, I don't know, in tight stick handling and really working on your stick skills. Do you think that, how do you think that ended up helping your field lacrosse goalie game, that upbringing?
I would say that like box is kind of a lot of it. I think for me, like my style is a lot of unorthodox, but it's kind of everything, whatever you do to stop the ball. I think that kind of helps you as well, but it also helps you be, patient on in tight because I know Canadian shooters are very deceptive, and their stick skills are unbelievable. So it kind of helps you in that sense, in that regards of being able to, be patient and be poised when you're in net and try to, do your best whatever you can to stop the ball.
Yeah. When you first jumped into goal, would you say it's something that, that came pretty naturally to you, or, were there some big time sticking points that you had to overcome as a youth?
I think for me, like it was a little more natural because I was a hockey goalie as well. So I think that kind of played a role into it for me. And, I like the position a lot. Like I'm a big Montreal Canadiens fan. So at the time they had the goalie by the name of Jose Theodore and then Carey Price as well. Kind of been my favorite players growing up. So seeing those guys do it kind of gave me motivation to kind of go out there and do it, in box, and that kind of gave me confidence with that stuff and kind of just like, throwing my head in front of the ball. Because there's a rule, the face mask rule in box when you're younger, if you would put your head in front of the ball, you guys get possession. So I would kind of do that a lot of the time, and it kind of helped me because I was a little smaller back then too.
What is this rule? If you put your head in front of the ball, you
So
get
yeah,
possession?
so in minor lacrosse, when you're in net and you're a goalie, if you get hit in the head with a ball, they call it face mask, and you automatically get the ball back, like your team's when they're shooting on you. So I would like kind of like deliberately when I'm younger, kids don't really shoot the ball that hard, kind of just like instead of like making like a shoulder save and like possibly giving up a rebound, I'd kind of just lead my head in towards it. And get the team the possession back and kind of go for it from there. But I've kind of gone away from that now since when you get up to like junior and senior, that rule is no longer a thing. So and they shoot a lot harder, so it hurts a bit more.
Yeah, but there's a technique in the field game, and I'm curious if you do this, where you're like you are getting your head kind of behind the shot, like as you go to make your save. Do you use that technique?
Yeah, that's one of the techniques I also kind of preach to some of the kids coaching. I mean, like again, you're not always going to get there with your stick. I think for me, I try to use my stick, but oftentimes it hits my body. So I feel like getting your body behind it is something that I use, but I also preach towards some of the kids that I coach back home here.
Yeah. How would you describe your style of goalie play when we talk about the field game?
I would say it's a little unorthodox, to be honest. I think it's different. I think that like I don't play a traditional kind of, flat arc where most guys are kind of sitting back on their line and letting react to it. I kind of come out a little bit. I don't come out like D Ward, but kind of challenge the shooters a bit more in the sense that I'll step out a bit on certain shots and certain angles. And I think that's kind of from the box background.
Yeah.
But I'd say it's different, but it's kind of, it's helped me out along the way.
Yeah, I remember interviewing Dylan Ward way back episode number 3, and he was like, Damon, like I play, I set up the same in box as I do in field. It's just the only difference is like in box I got my stick down, and field I got my hands up, but like he really approaches it the same. Although I feel like he's taking his high arc to another level watching him in the PLL this year. Like he's way out there this year.
Yeah, I think he just owns real estate in a lot of those guys' heads. Like, I feel like, it's like kind of like he's like baiting them almost in that sense, like kind of teasing them. I think it's his style and he perfects it pretty well. I know he cuts down angles really, really well as well. So
Yeah.
there's a reason why I think he's the best goalie in the world.
Yeah. He's amazing. And he's so big. I mean, he's like, I don't know how tall he is, but he's 6 foot something, 5'6". I mean, he's a big dude. And so like when you come out and cut down that angle, it's like I can't even see the goal. Me at 5'8", I come down, like they're still seeing a lot of the goal. And now I have like way less time to react. So I don't think that style would work for me. How tall are you? What's your size?
6'2", 200.
Good size. Yeah, good size. So I think that style would work for you, but you're not as aggressive as D Ward likes to do it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I haven't got that far yet.
yeah, yeah. You're an ice hockey goalie. I mean, would you say like ice hockey goalie and box goalie are essentially the same? I mean, maybe the release points are a lot different, but everything else is pretty much nearly identical. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say for the most part, the way I kind of would explain box goalie, it's almost a little bit of a hybrid between a hockey goalie and a field goalie in the sense that like you're still trying to step towards the ball and kind of get your body behind it. But in the sense that you got to kind of corral more of the rebounds with your body and for certain movements. So this past week, we just finished playing the first round of games for the OJLL for the new format that we've got this summer with all the COVID rules. So there's a lot more hockey kind of style because they had made a rule change. You used to use the big wooden sticks in box. You got to use kind of the circle spoon stick. So you'll see a lot more guys, including myself, kind of play more of a hockey butterfly style to it.
Interesting. Yeah. Do you ever like, I'm curious, do you ever get the games like mixed up? Because, the save movement in box, like let's say one comes to your shoulder, right? Your off stick shoulder. I mean, you're like, boom, you're blocking it. You're sticking up your shoulder and kind of like making that save. Whereas, in field, we're getting our top hand over and kind of then getting our body behind. Do you ever, I guess you answered the question in that you said your style is unorthodox and you do whatever you can to get your body on it to make that save. But I'm curious, like if you ever kind of get them mixed up and kind of do a box save in the field game.
Yeah, so sometimes like it'll come down to like when you go back to the fall, like after a full summer playing junior lacrosse, like you're kind of training to get ready for fall ball at school. Like before you get down there, like there'll be a couple times I'm shooting my buddies and they'll hit me in the bot and like in my body. And it's like, all right, that hurt a lot less, last week when we were playing box. This hurts a lot more. I might need to take a little bit more of a break before we get the next shots in because, it can be painful sometimes. But I mean, yeah, definitely sometimes I'll see it happening, but it's usually kind of, it takes me probably like a couple sessions before I can kind of get back on the horse and kind of carry off where I was going with field. And same thing with box.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're a goalie in ice hockey, you're a goalie in box lacrosse, you're a goalie in field lacrosse. What is it about the goalie position you love so much, Brett?
I mean, I'll be brutally honest with you. I'm kind of lazy. I'm not the fastest or the best runner in the world. So I always joke around with the fellas at school. So I'll always have like a stick in my hand, whether it's a player stick or a goalie stick. I don't like to run, so I'll be honest with you. So staying back in net is something that I kind of enjoy, and I think that kind of being the quarterback of not only the defense but in the clear as well is something that attracts to me because I think I'm able to see the field a little bit better than some other people.
Yeah. Yeah, there's I did an Instagram post about like the 3 reasons people become goalies, and one of them's they have an older brother that needs someone to shoot on, but the other one or one of the other 2 is they don't like to run, and that's a huge part of it. But I'm sure you stay pretty fit. What's kind of your workout regimen these days?
But box lacrosse right now. I mean, you burn a lot of calories. You sweat a lot of stuff up in box just with the whole the big uppers and stuff like that. You'll get a good sweat on through that, and then kind of just coaching and doing some training, taking shots throughout that. Just having guys kind of feed off the post and kind of get your footwork going like that, and skipping some rope as well. It's kind of something I've been kind of utilizing throughout the summers. I'll talk a lot with the goalie Smith guys, more specifically like Andrew. Andrew's got some great workouts, and he'll send those my way. Kind of talk with him about getting some stuff for me to be prepared for the season.
Awesome. I love those guys, man. They're running some camps right now, and I'm just watching them. And I mean, they're one of the best trainers of goalies, and the caliber of goalies that go through their camps is just awesome. So that's good to hear you're working with those guys.
Yeah, I got to kind of experience them for the first time this summer. I was kind of down in the States still. I've always kind of wanted to go there and kind of train with them, and they're legit. They're the best out there. The way they think the game, the way they break it down, the way they train these kids is unbelievable. You know, I've kind of poached a couple of things that they worked with me on. I've started using those with some of the kids out here in Canada.
I've poached tons of stuff.
Yeah, it's
Not
unreal.
just a couple of
I love
things.
it too.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's kind of I mean, that's the coaching philosophy, right? Is you just like pick from all different, areas and take some stuff from this goalie and that goalie and kind of form it to your style of what works for you. So I think that's good advice all around. What if there's a young goalie listening, how would you describe the Goalie Smith camp?
I mean, it's intense. It's lots of fun. I mean, you're competing every single chance you're out there, right? I mean, they bring some of the best shooters to shoot on you guys, and they also bring the best goalies in, right? So you kind of want to match up against those guys and kind of not only compete with them, but you also want to kind of get to know them as people, which is something that's always great. And you'll leaving there, you're going to be tired, but you're going to be better because of it. And that's something that a lot of people take for granted. Like, there's a lot of sessions where you see goalies just kind of go in net and people just rip on them. I think these guys do a good job of getting what the goalies need to be successful, not only within the cage, but also to kind of build their confidence up. And that's something that, they do a great job of.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. I saw an interview of you where you talked about, having type 1 diabetes. How has that impacted your playing career?
I think part of that for me is like, that's kind of also where I kind of became a goalie. So like when I filled in that one game for, when our goalie had a heat stroke back when I was like 5 or 6, I finished out the year player. And then when I kind of got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, it was kind of allowed me to, by going to net, it was a little easier for me to kind of manage that right at the time. And then since kind of there, it's been great. Cause you just gotta have like my insulin pump on me at all times, making sure that my blood sugar is intact. Cause I mean, when I go low, anything on net will go. I'm usually pretty slow to the ball, don't really react to it. So I got to make sure I'm kind of on the ball, that stuff, and kind of taking care of my health as well. Cause like, that's something that's very important. And if, I don't take care of my diabetes, I could lose, my eyesight or my toes, and that my eyes are pretty important as a goal. You got to kind of use those as you kind of see shots coming in. Right. So, but yeah, no, it's played a big role in my career. It's kind of how I go through my routine before games as well as every day. So, I wouldn't be me without my diabetes. But I think that too, that, it's helped me kind of learn some lessons along the way as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And so you're saying if your blood sugar goes really low, like your reaction time just goes right out the window?
Yeah, like my hands are just very slow. Like I can tell, like there'll be times in like box practice or even field where like we're doing a drill and like there'll be goal after goal after goal, and like usually my pump will beep a bit before like to notify me that's going low, but then I'll kind of beat it to it if I can kind of see that something's not going on. So usually our trainers at practice have those little Gatorade chews or some Gatorade on the side that kind of help me out when that happens.
Yeah, interesting. So do you have to eat like a really regimented diet?
Not necessarily, no, because I'm on an insulin pump. I can kind of eat what I want. I just gotta make sure I count the carbohydrates and all the meals and make sure that my insulin's kind of accurate with that as well.
Got it. What does a pregame routine look like for you? You kind of touched on a little bit there, but like just more, in the big picture, what does a pregame routine look like for you?
So kind of at home. So when we're playing at home, it kind of looks something like this. So traditionally, home games in college are kind of around like the lunchtime, 1 p.m. time frame, right? So I'll kind of be up around 7:30, 8 a.m. I'll go to our cafe at school called the Hickey. I'll go get a nice breakfast. I'll probably be the only one there. I'll be in a full coat and tie, kind of just listen to music, kind of get going in that sense. Huge breakfast, kind of go there because that. Then go to the locker room about 3 hours before the game, kind of start to roll out, and then throw the Normatec. So I'm big on the Normatec Leg Boots. I'm a big fan of kind of what they what they're doing for recovery. So I like to throw those on for probably about an hour before the game. And then just start kind of juggling off the wall by myself, dialing my stick in, finish stretching out and kind of going through some visualization. and then kind of get out in the field and get in the warm up when game time rolls around.
Awesome. I've seen pictures of those Normatec leg boots. I mean, they're like these like huge. They look like snowboarding pants, right? Like there's huge baggy pants. What do they do? Just increase oxygen in the legs or blood flow in the legs?
Yeah, blood flow. Yeah, actually, it compresses and heats throughout, and you get different sensitivities going through it. So I like to kind of just have that kind of cranked up there. And I just feel like my legs are more agile. I'm able to kind of move them a bit better that way. Maybe it might be placebo for me if I'm doing it before the game, but just kind of the routine, I've kind of stuck with it.
Doesn't matter. Even if it is a placebo, like if it works, like I had a nutritionist on a couple episodes ago, and we were talking about the placebo effect. It's like a real studied thing. Like if you take a pill that everyone's telling you this will help you make more saves, and you believe it, you're gonna make more saves. So it doesn't even matter.
Yeah. I mean, I'm big on this year too. I remember last year during COVID, I bought one of those Goalie Smith long sleeve T-shirts, and I would have heard guys like they'll promote like everyone wearing the long sleeves, had great games in them, and I kind of just wore it all year this year. I didn't take it off practice or games. Would wash it though in between, but yeah, you can maybe go with that too. But yeah, that's what I kind of rolled with.
Yeah, good clarification there. I would wash it, but same, yeah. That's awesome. So you start to have, some success, I guess around, maybe junior high school time. Talk us through kind of your high school career and when you first started envisioning playing D1 lacrosse.
I mean, I think for me, like the goal once I kind of got to high school was kind of to pursue lacrosse. Growing up, I played hockey, basketball, baseball, and lacrosse, and I kind of narrowed it down to basketball and lacrosse by the time I got to my first year of high school. And then after that, my family and I made a decision to send me to the Hill Academy in grade 10. So once I kind of went there in grade 10, I was full in on it. A lot of my close friends from, offshore were kind of going in there, Dyson Williams, who I played with since, I was 5 or 6 years old. Now at Duke, he was on my team. He's one of my longtime teammates that I've had. A couple other guys, one guy going to Albany, one guy going to UNC, another guy who's joined me at the Bonnies by the name of Sean Wesley. Right, when you have all those guys kind of going there, and you're, before you kind of find the end picture where we are now, it made it a lot easier for me to stick the course and kind of pursue my goals of wanting to become a professional lacrosse player. But I think that once I kind of got there, it kind of solidified that for me. I think that going there has allowed me to kind of see what the opportunities that lacrosse can bring. And that's kind of where it kind of picked up for me. Like I kind of wanted to play Division I. My end goals have always been to be a professional athlete. So now it's kind of translated more into playing professional box lacrosse goalie in the NLL, as well as playing in the PLL. But not only just that, but I want to represent Team Canada as well, either at the world stage, at the FIL games, or at the Olympics. So that's something I kind of want to be able to pursue. And I kind of got the vision of that a bit when you go into the Hill and then kind of going up and do it. I had a great goalie partner there all the way through, and we kind of had to battle that out. So, he was, I would say he was definitely better than me at the time, going up until about grade 12. And then once we kind of got to grade 12, I think it kind of, the scale started to tip the other way more towards me. And that's when it kind of started to become a reality. And then I started talking to Coach Mearns, and that kind of more so solidified the D1 goal, as well as, playing for Team Canada, because he's, the head coach. So it's hard to not want to play for someone that you want to play for in your future. So the second I started talking to Coach Mearns, I was a big fan of his, in the way that he portrayed himself. And, he's a winner at every level, right? And that's something that, I want to be able to help him out with. I want to be able to kind of help him live out his dream of being able to win a national championship at St. Bonaventure.
Love it. So even at, at the high school level, you already had these goals and these strong desires to play, both professional lacrosse and represent Team Canada. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's like, it talks about, sorry. It talks about just the why, it talks about the why of like having this deep passion for it. And I mean, I'm sure that drove you on those cold days when you didn't want to take one off the thigh, right?
Yeah, it definitely drove me. And there's a lot of other things that kind of motivate me too. I love when, people will write me off or kind of, give me bulletin board material about my play. And I think stuff like that is, stuff that kind of motivates me. And, you know, that's kind of how I feel like I've kind of started to develop. I take every day, you know, you go out there and grind and you just want to have like prove those people wrong. Right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's such a strong motivator too. Like, you know, this whole concept of proving the haters wrong is a real strong motivator for a lot of people. So whatever, you know, whatever is your motivation, like you grab onto that and use it, and it just drives you. So yeah. So what is the Hill Academy like for, you know, us stateside folks who might not have heard of it?
So sorry, my insulin pump's just beeping right now. I want to apologize for that.
Oh, do you need to take a break?
So no, we're all good.
Okay.
We're good.
All right.
So the Hill Academy is a private school in Canada that specializes in developing athletes and preparing them for the next level, whether it be in lacrosse, hockey, you know, tennis. You know, they started expanding a bit more with golf as well. But when I was there, it was predominantly lacrosse and hockey. Right. It's where a bunch of, you know, individuals will either come in from, you know, they can come in from the States, they can be before they got the new campus out in Orangeville, now I was out in Vaughan, in this place called the Sports Village, which is a hockey rink. So it's not kind of your prestigious prep school that you might think of. Right. It was a little grittier for a prep school, but I enjoyed it a lot. You know, it's the place where you go, you work out in the morning, you practice in the morning, and you complete a full day's schedule of classes, and you do that Monday to Friday. You can have kids that would either board there or they would travel in. So for me, we'd have a bus stop that we would stop at, and we'd pick up everybody in kind of the area where I live. Then we would go out to Vaughan, which is about a 45-minute drive away, and kind of do that Monday to Friday.
Awesome. And so that's cool. Like it's really dedicated to sports. I don't know I'm sure there are high schools like that here in the States, but none come to mind. And you guys end up winning some national championships there?
Yeah. So when I was there, my grade 11 year, and then my last year at the Hill in grade 12, we won the Geico National Championship as well. And then in grade 12, we won the National Prep Championship, which was, I believe in Pennsylvania. We beat Culver in the finals that year. It was a great year. But, you know, I think, you know, Coach Brody and the whole Merrill family kind of wants everyone in that school to be successful and, you know, prepare for the next level. And I think that, you know, they do a really, really good job of doing so. And that's what kind of keeps a lot of people motivated to strive for greatness and to keep going for there.
Yeah, love it. So Coach, what is it, Mearns?
Yeah, Coach Randy Mearns, yeah.
Mearns, yeah. So he you know, head coach of Team Canada, as you mentioned, and, you know, head coach of St. Bonaventure, sort of then, you know, recruited you to play there. Was there any any other consideration for any other schools, or was it pretty much I'm going to go here and play?
I think that was the only place that I'd received an offer from leading into my last year at the Hill, and I kind of wanted to have that stuff figured out and be able to kind of pursue that. I'd spoken to him when he was at Canisius beforehand, and was kind of looking to go there if I were to PG and reclass. But you know, he ended up leaving there. And told me that he wanted me to be his first recruit, his first phone call, and his first commit at St. Bonaventure. And, you know, that kind of solidified the deal for me. I want to kind of go out there and start something brand new for me. But yeah, no, that was really kind of the only other place I was looking at. Wouldn't change it for the world now.
Yeah, of course. What are some lessons that you've learned from him?
Kind of be relaxing would be one of the things that I think I get a lot from Coach Mearns, being down to earth and, you know, focus on not just yourself, but the team's goals at hand. I think because, you know, his playing career as well as his coaching career, you know, he's been very successful, and he obviously knows how to, you know, keep the team together, and, you know, he knows how to lead people to championships. So I think that what I've learned from him in that sense, I've been able to kind of, you know, focus more on the team goal, as well as kind of, you know, get close together and always kind of never really talk about yourself and focus on the team goal and, you know, everybody else's performances over yours.
I love it. Those are powerful lessons. I'm always curious. You end up getting the start. You were his first recruit, right? And you end up starting your freshman year. What was that like for you in terms of, you know, trying to be a leader? Because obviously, you know, lacrosse teams are better when the goalie is the leader of the team. Very biased opinion, but I think that's true. But it's hard to be a leader when you're so young of this group. So what's your approach to leadership, Brett?
Obviously that first year was tough. We kind of got kicked in the teeth a lot. Myself, my goalie partner, Ben Mazer, I thought we did a good job of kind of, leading the way at the team and kind of focusing on that stuff, and competing every day. But it's hard. It's still kind of hard to this day now that we've, kind of got the culture kind of down for our team. But, the first year and a half was hard. It's tough to tell somebody who you see every day and you appreciate and you like hanging out with them that they need to work harder or something like that, right? Especially when they're in the same class as you. So I think that, once you kind of got a little older, like juniors and, going into our senior year now, I think that, we have that culture in place and makes things a little bit more easier to be able to make sure we bring along the young guys, make sure they kind of follow along the culture that we've built and ensure that, they're going to leave this place better than, we found it before we got there.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Well, there's some other guys on your team from the Hill Academy and probably some other guys that you played against and grew up against. So at least you had like some level of familiarity with some people. Yeah.
Yeah. So, one of my best friends growing up, Sean Wesley, who I ended up going to the Hill Academy with, and I currently he plays in my junior team. We played together, since we were 5 and 6, he's been right there with me. So kind of being able to go there with him has been great. And, it's kind of been great for our parents as well, because they can kind of carpool down to the games once these, they open the border back up. But, it's been great. And then, my current roommate, Brody Anderson, I can't say enough great things about him. He's at the Hill for a year, but, he's a great guy. And, I appreciate be able to have him come into my life when he came to the Hill and, be able to have him down at Bonnie's. I mean, there's a lot of things that I would do for that guy. He's a great dude. And I hope to kind of, he's been kind of banged up a bit with a concussion last year or so, but I think he'll be back in the lineup this upcoming fall. And I look forward to kind of seeing him out there. And then we're kind of hoping to build a little bit more of a pipeline. Now we got a young man by the name of Ryan Owen coming in from the Hill Academy this year. And hopefully we'll kind of get a couple more kids here and there.
Awesome. That'll be the pipeline, the Hill Academy, St. Bonaventure, Team Canada.
Yeah, that's the end goal, right? That's the end goal. That's what I kind of want to be able to. That's what I kind of believed in Coach Mearns. I want to be able to kind of get that stuff going.
Love it. What is a Bonnie, by the way?
It's a wolf, basically. They had to change their name. I want to say it was in the late 90s. It was a little bit derogatory what it used to be called before then, but now that they've kind of become the Bonnies, it's been great. But yeah, it's a wolf. We get that question a lot, so it's kind of generic. But it is funny because usually I'll sarcastically say to them when you roll up the orientation your freshman year, they would always say, "What's the Bonnie?" And then I'd just say, "You're supposed to say I'm a Bonnie," because we're all rolling in there. So I generically kind of sarcastically say that to people, but it's a wolf.
Love it. Love it. So then you just finished your sophomore year, and congratulations, on a great year. Led the league in save percentage. I'm sure you've got even bigger aspirations for the next 2 years. But congrats on a great year. How did it go for you?
It was a good year. I think that my success is kind of credited to the defense and the team playing in front of me. Ultimately at the end of the day, individual success is great and all, but we came up just short of, attaining that MAC championship. So I think that, moving forward, that's all that's going to be kind of focused on going into, I guess, for us, right, since this whole COVID year, technically we're all seniors. I think the majority of the guys, are going to be finishing their seasons out here and trying to play elsewhere afterwards for their 5th year. So, moving forward, that's our goal. That's what we want to kind of get to. That's what we're kind of focused on. But, we had great guys in front of us. We had Mac Offensive Player of the Year leading the way. And Jake Rosa, him and Sean Wesley played great together. We had great defense with, Zach Belter leading the charge, making sure that, he was giving up shots that I like, that I'm able to see, as well as Nick Conklin kind of locking down some of their best players in the MAC. But, we came up just short, right? And we want to kind of move forward with that and kind of build off the success that we had this year, right? We didn't win a game until this year after 2 years. Right, which was hard, but once we got it this year, we kind of grew up a little quicker than we had in the past. Right, we got our first win, we got our first conference win, we got our first playoff win. So we kind of got a taste of what it means to play in the MAC since we didn't get that opportunity last year, and we kind of got kicked in the teeth our freshman year. But I think moving forward next year, we'll be hungry. We only lost one guy. We got about 12 guys coming in there to help build our team up.
Wow, Only lost one guy. That's good. Pretty much whole team's coming back. Well, great. I mean, I'm hope you guys can build on that success and have another great year. I think we talked about, Dylan Ward. Who are the, or maybe not, but who are some goalies that you sort of, when you were growing up, you looked up to and learned from?
I mean, D Ward is. I mean, I still constantly look up to him every day. Kind of seeing the success that he's had, not only in the international game, but in box, PLL, MLL, right? That's kind of something that I want to be able to do, and kind of lead the way for kids that like myself who followed him. I want to be able to kind of do that for the next generation of kids coming out of Canada, right? And he's kind of one of the guys I looked up to a lot. I think too, like looking back at a lot of the goals, I think Kyle Miller and Chris Sanderson played a big role in that too, in terms of wanting to play for Team Canada, kind of seeing those. My box coach growing up, and still is my box coach, is Dyson Williams, his dad Sean, and kind of being around some of the teams that he played for at the time. Kind of want to watch games. Brett Queener was one of my favorite goalies growing up as well. I just like his style of game, and him and I both have the same first name, so it kind of went a long way with me. I remember being ball boy one game in Toronto when he was playing for the Nationals, and kind of just waiting around for him after the game, like kind of just like walking around in a circle, just like looking at him, waiting for him to be done talking with one of his buddies on the other team just so he could sign my player T-shirt. But yeah, no, I think those two were two of my favorite goalies growing up.
Love it. Yeah, you got that Brett connection.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess Brett's probably like Damon, where it's like, it's not a super rare name, but it's rare enough where we're like, when you meet another Damon, you're always like, hey, what's up, Damon? What's up?
Exactly. Yeah. So we actually have three Bretts on the team at St. Bonaventure. We got myself, Brett Dobson, Brett Vito, Buffalo guy, and then Brett Chido as well. So we kind of have the ongoing joke about whenever someone calls Brett, we'll all answer together and kind of go through there.
So what do they call you on the team?
Most guys usually call me Dauber.
Dobbs.
Yeah, that's what most guys call me.
I love it. Awesome. So when you got to St. Bonaventure, would you say your goalie game changed or evolved?
Yeah, I would 100% say that it did. I always kind of, when I work with kids nowadays and I kind of talk to them about it, poach a little bit of a quote from kind of Project 9 on some of the videos. You're not a finished product yet. And some of the stuff that I utilize for that is some tapes and film from when I was playing in high school. My hands were, locked out like this, completely out, and extended, legs locked out. That first couple of weeks, even just as freshmen, I had to kind of make the adjustment in terms of, the game speed was so much harder than what it was in high school and faster, right? So I think I kind of had to make an adjustment. I think every year I'm still kind of making that adjustment. I found that, playing the Fall Classic last fall was really an eye-opener to me in terms of how much the fundamentals really go a long way at the next level, because the speed just increases. But if you're not fundamentally sound, guys are going to rip you apart. So I think that every chance you get to play at another level, you're going to learn something new each time you get out there. And for me, I felt like that curve, was a little bit tough the first week or so, and then I kind of was able to kind of figure it out after that.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's interesting in that sometimes you have these like great athletes, who are doing so well, but they're like breaking major rules of lacrosse goalie. Like you just said, like my arms are out, I'm locked, I'm not in an athletic stance, and maybe you're like still making saves because you're an elite athlete, but you've got to respect those fundamentals. And then there's different ways to play within those fundamentals that are still sound, but like, yeah, you got to learn and you got to practice the fundamentals, because I think that's what makes pros best, is like not because they're doing some crazy save, they're just great at the fundamentals. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would 100% agree. Like, it's all like, again, you got to be properly square in terms of cutting down the angle, or else you're going to get torched. They're going to be shooting for the corners. It's going to make your job a lot harder than what it needs to be. And then if your footwork isn't proper, kind of when you're coming off, you'll get burnt on that also. And that's what I kind of felt. It takes time to kind of learn that and just kind of be able to adapt to the speed of the game.
Yeah. When you think about, your training, is it a lot of live shots? Are there like specific drills that you like to do? What does your training look like, both, when you're training yourself and also when you're coaching kids?
So kind of when I was training myself, more specifically last year, one of my kind of couple of favorite, exercises I did was, you know, having my old man kind of out and not necessarily drive it. We have a grass court in front of my house. You know, we would go out there and he would just let it rip with tennis balls and kind of get a little friendly banter going on and kind of talking some smack with him and him kind of giving it to me when I wasn't catching up to his heat. So I think that's one of my favorite drills to kind of do when I'm back home and kind of not really working. Or just even going out and taking shots with pros like Clark Peterson or Riley O'Connor or my buddies around there. Just kind of let me feel the ball a bit and, you know, allow me to kind of become better in not only just scenarios where I'm taking shots, but also kind of playing in like 2-on-2 backyard lax games. I find that stuff kind of helps for me just because game speed. You know, you make a big save here and there. You know, some of the guys are either pissed at you because you cost them the game or it's going to help a couple of the other guys win the game. So I think that stuff's good for me. I just like kind of doing that stuff. But I think going through the younger age groups for when guys are kind of taking shots and growing up, they need to see more live reps and be able to see some shots that they necessarily aren't comfortable with. So I think that they need to be able to see guys feeding them. They have to be ready to go. So I think I utilize this year in my warm up. I like it when guys pass the shot instead of just kind of squaring up to the guy because it allows you to kind of get your feet set, get your feet moving. I think certain stuff like that for kids in high school helps them go a long way because it allows them to adjust, you know, to the arc that they're playing as well as the net and the movement in the crease, right? And kind of squaring up for different angles. I think that's something that's really important as well. And it kind of gives you a different look from all over the field. So I think seeing a lot of reps like that for younger kids is something that's going to help get them to the next level. And then kind of just talking about, you know, things that I've used to be successful in the past, as well as, you know, kind of some of the techniques. I know I like teaching the read them and beat them with goalie Smith. I think that, you know, having guys kind of go early, designate where they're going to go by reading their body language is something that's helped a lot of these high school, middle school kids that I've been working with recently. And I think they're just going to get better because of it.
Yeah. 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 I love that comment about, you know, like having a feeder and kind of taking shots, that way, because it's a very different type of save. You know, if you're just set in your stance and a shooter's shooting right at you, you throw it right back to him and then he shoots it right at you. You know, it's very different moving on the arc and then getting set in your stance and making sure like you're balanced and good positioning, splitting the cage from the shooter's perspective. So it's very different. And yeah, I love that you're telling young goalies to take reps like that, because I 100% agree.
Yeah, like I just liked it. I just felt like it was more comfortable for me. It was more game-like, and I think that too, like, you know, our D coordinator at St. Bonaventure, Nico Capron, did a great job of kind of allowing me to kind of be able to do my warm-up like that and kind of adjusting it to kind of get into what I need. I'm a little picky when I'm down at school with who's shooting on me, who's not shooting on me, because a lot of guys, you know, are trying to put it right by me. It's not a lot of you know, drills that I kind of benefit from. And, you know, he's done a great job for me of kind of, you know, getting me what I need for my warm up and allowing me to feel comfortable and confident. So that way when I get out there, I'm able to, you know, be the best that I can be. But I got to tip my cap to him for kind of helping me out all fall, all spring with that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing too, I mean, you grew up with a lot of great shooters. You live right now with a lot of, you know, in the same area as a lot of great shooters, but you've got to find great shooters, right? Like your dad can only bring it so much, and that's fun. Don't get me wrong, but like, you know, at a certain point, like you've got to see higher level, higher caliber shots. And I tell that to all the goalies, and I say, like, if you're like a high school kid or even, yeah, probably high school is you know, DM a college level shooter in your area. So if you live in, you know, in New York, it's upstate New York, right? Where St. Bonaventure.
Yeah, upstate New York. Yeah,
upstate. If you live upstate New York, like DM some goalies on St. Bonaventure and say, hey, can you come shoot on me for 30 minutes this weekend? And I'm sure like they'd be into it. Like, lacrosse community is very small, and I've had nothing but positive, you know, interactions with all these players. So yeah, I love that comment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even going off that, like, I remember when I was, you know, just starting to get into high school, I have guys like Mark Cockerton, who just finished up at Virginia, who was kind of playing in the PLL, or a guy like Austin Shanks, who was at Ohio State, or Connor Kern, just kind of shoot on me when I was at edge camps. You know, I always want to have guys who were older, who would kind of shoot the ball hard and kind of, you know, let me see where I kind of was in terms of my game with those guys. And I still think to this day, like, I like to try and get some guys, pro guys. One of the guys I had shoot me last summer, and I felt I'll go down and saying it, who's been the best shooter on me so far since I've been home, is Andrew Q. He's got such a quick release. It's very hard for me to read. So I think he does a good job of kind of, when I got a chance to take shots to me last year, he put me in my place pretty good. So I'm glad I was kind of able to kind of take his shots. But yeah. If everyone's looking for stuff down in upstate New York, with this whole new name, image, and likeness stuff, we'll see what I can do based off my F1 visa, but we might be able to do some goalie clinic stuff down in St. Bonaventure sometime soon.
That's what I like to hear, my man. That's what I like to hear. It kind of goes to like continuing that topic of taking higher caliber shots. It plays a lot into the mental game as well. Like if you can start to save shots from, D1 shooters, when you go back to play with your high school team, like you're going to have this swagger that's a little bit better. And that's what we need as goalies, right? Like towing that line between confidence and cocky. We're not cocky, but like we are confident as heck. That we can make those saves. And so I think by taking those shots, it's a mental game boost. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, 100% would agree with you. I felt that, when Coach Mearns gave me the opportunity to kind of play for Team Canada at that fall classic and kind of facing shooters like Marcus Holman, Will Manny, Mike Chanchuk, those guys kind of shooting the ball and kind of going back to college years after that, it kind of gave me a little bit more confidence. I felt like I had a decent performance there. I kind of want to build off that, but I felt that, they allowed me going back to college to kind of play confidently and be confident in myself that, I can do this and, help support the team. And I think that kind of stuff trickles down to the team as well, right? Although the year was kind of cut short, that whole COVID year when it happened, I think it's kind of built up into this last season that just happened, and it's going to keep going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. When we sticking with the mental game, when you think about like mental toughness or, being mentally strong, what comes to mind for you?
Being kind of composed and kind of being, into the game at all times, I think is something that's very important within the mental game. I feel that, showing the other team that you're pissed off by smashing your stick on your post is something that as soon as the team sees that, you're going to give up a lot more goals, and it's just going to be worse and worse for you because it's causing a scene. So I think for yourself, like for me, what I like to kind of utilize is, focus on, the next play, kind of have a short memory of all that kind of stuff. The way I kind of go about talking with kids, there's this old, it might even still be around. It's like a Foot Locker commercial with Charles Barkley and Scottie Pippen. They're talking about having a short memory, and they're kind of roasting Charles Barkley for kind of being out of shape, and then he kind of throws it over to Scottie Pippen. And they're talking about how all the greats have a short memory, and he says something along the lines of, and that's why it's the greatest Chicago Bull of all time, sarcastically in the commercial, for short memory, knowing that he played with Michael Jordan his entire career. So I think having a short memory is something that goes a long way as a goalie. I mean, you're going to get scored on the field net. It's going to happen. But you got to kind of make sure that you limit the amount of times it happens and kind of limit beating yourself up on and over some goals.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such, that topic comes up so much on this podcast in different ways. Like some people say it different ways. And I've always said, it's like the roulette wheel. You know how they post like the results of the roulette wheel? Like, you see 5 greens in a row, and like us humans, we go, all right, like a green is coming, but like the roulette ball doesn't know anything about the past, right? It has no idea what's happened before. It's just in the moment. And that's how we are as goalies. It doesn't matter if you've had 5 greens. If you've given up 5 goals, this next one is just blank slate, right? So it's that short-term memory we're talking about.
I've never heard that analogy before, but I really like that one a lot. I think that's a great one. I might start utilizing that with some of the kids that I'm working with now too. But they're a little longer. They might not know what roulette is, but once
yeah. Depends on the age, but use that one. Awesome. What about a time that you, in your career, that you went through a slump? Has that happened, and how'd you get out of it?
I would say kind of in high school, I would say at times, like in the summer, I felt like I would kind of take a couple steps back in my field game because I was playing box a lot more, right? And the way kind of like it works in Canada, like when you grow up, you play box all the way through the summer, and you play like 6 or 7 weeks of field. And with your club team, which is like, so club teams back home was like your town, like your city that you live in. So you'd only play 6 or 7 weeks of that. So I felt like for me, like grade 10, 11, kind of around there. Like I would struggle coming into it, but I think what I would kind of do to get out of it, even going into grade 12, I don't think, I was playing the grades. What I kind of did was start taking, a lot of extra reps and extra shots, from pro guys like Kyle Jackson. Kyle Jackson was coaching at the Hill at the time. I think he plays for the Chaos now. Him and I would do kind of like a 5-shot challenge, first to 3 wins basically type of deal, right? And that kind of getting that competitiveness kind of going, and kind of working through, scenarios where you're down and kind of battling back is something that kind of helped me kind of develop my game, and kind of get me out of those slumps. Cause I think that going back to the drawing board and kind of just taking shots, feeling confident in yourself will allow you to kind of, develop and become a better goalie in the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's about, to me, it's about getting back to basics, but just to restoring that confidence, like you get to this level and you know you can play at that level, but you're not playing at that level. And so a lot of it is about like getting back into that mind state of where you were when you were playing at that level. And different goalies have different methods of arriving there, but watching tape of yourself when you were dominating, that can help you. If you write down, like if you journal, like if you write down your thoughts and kind of read those entries of when you were dominating, that can help, like whatever it takes to get back to that level.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think too, like for me, like sometimes too, like if I feel like I kind of had like a tough couple, like a practice or 2 in a row at school, like kind of like putting lacrosse aside for the rest of the day or rest of the night, something that I do. Like I like to golf a ton. And I spent a lot of time at the golf course this fall, kind of going through the whole COVID stuff. There wasn't really much else to do. So I feel like that stuff kind of allows me to kind of regroup mentally and kind of enjoy myself, and just kind of even going out there by yourself and just kind of shooting, just hitting golf balls is kind of something that kind of just like relieves stress for me. Hit a nice drive off the tee is something that kind of is, fun to do. And if you can hit it pretty far too. So I think that's kind of something that, I found that allows me to kind of dial it back in and kind of, not necessarily, burn out in terms of lacrosse, is kind of find that happy alternative where I'm still able to be competitive, but I'm still also kind of able to kind of relax and put lacrosse to the side for a second and kind of, enjoy myself and kind of enjoy where I'm at right now in my life.
Love it. Well, you're in a great spot, my man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. I was going to ask, there's kind of a debate amongst some field goalies that say like, you actually shouldn't play box goalie. Like it ruins, not ruins, but, sort of affects your field goalie game, giving you bad habits. What's your thoughts on that statement?
Well, I'll ask them this too, and this will be kind of my, a couple of arguments to that. What are their goals in life? What do they want to do? Do they want to be a professional athlete? I think with the way that the NLL is kind of going about it, they want to be able to have more American goalies in there. Now, again, being able to play American, be able to play box and field is something that's a whole different conversation. But if you want to kind of have your goals where you want to be a professional athlete, and you're a young kid, maybe try and play box a little bit. They want to kind of expand their horizons with that kind of stuff. And do you want to represent your country? Because being an American box goalie, I feel like there's a need for those, and possibly represent Team USA for box as well. But I think that you look at Dylan Ward. Dylan Ward's the best goalie in the world, and I'm going to go down. I'm going to stay on that until the end of the day, until that kind of gets pushed away. But he's one of the best in field and one of the best in box, and I'm going to go with that, and then that should be the only argument that should be talked about. That you watch him do it. He's the best at both, and that should just be where it's at.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, awesome. So what does the path to Team Canada look like for you? We're in, it's 2021. When are you going to start trying out? Like, how does that, have you thought about that?
So every year there's like kind of like a not necessarily a tryout necessarily, but there's they keep tabs on everybody. They kind of know what's going on with guys within the NCAA realm as well as guys playing pro. So I believe the next one. So there is the Olympic trials that are in Birmingham, Alabama this upcoming summer. And I think that they're going to be looking at some people now because they're going to have another fall classic this upcoming fall. I was reading an article from Canada Lacrosse that talked about they're going to be doing that every year leading up to the World Games as well. So I know that there's a weekend where it's a strict fall classic where they'll play Team USA again, and they'll play Virginia because they're the defending national champs again. And then the weekend after that is Olympic Sixes trial. And then they'll probably have a couple of tryouts throughout that. So I want to be able to kind of represent them I'm in Birmingham. I think only 12 guys can go to that, right? So do they go with the 2 goalie module or do they go with the 1? So it's something that, whoever the coach, if it's Coach Mearns or, maybe it's Brody Merrill, we'll have to kind of discuss. But, I want to kind of be able to kind of do that. And then the summer after that, I believe, is the FIL World Games in Los Angeles. So, I mean, I want to be able to make that team. So that's something I'm going to probably be pushing myself to be able to do such. And then, so that would be what, 2022, I believe, correct? 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Olympics are in 2028. So hopefully in between there, we'll have a couple more chances to wear the red and white.
There you go. There you go. Well, good luck. Good luck in that endeavor. We'll be rooting for you for sure.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. If you had to go back and give, the young Brett Dobson some goalie advice, what would you say to him?
Well, first thing I would say was, enjoy practice. I used to kind of half-ass it a lot when I was younger in practice. And I think that kind of going to the hill, it made me understand the value of practicing hard and, being able to compete every day. So if I had to go back and tell myself something, I would say that, push yourself all the time, whatever chance you get. And I would also kind of give yourself hey, be confident in your own ability. But at the same time, like, I wouldn't be where I am today without the encounters that I've gone through in the past. So I think that stuff's kind of shaped me to be where I am today. So I think that, I would probably try and say to stay the course and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. It's something I've heard from a lot of D1 athletes is like, once they arrived on campus their freshman year, like they really then understood what hard work was, right? Like they thought hard work was here. And then you arrive, to a D1 program and you get this whole new definition of what hard work is. So you always got some left in the tank. If you think you're working hard, like you can push yourself a little bit harder and know that will better prep you for whatever your goals are, whether that be play for your country or even just play D2, D3, MCLA lacrosse.
Yeah, and I think too, going off that too, right? I think that the Hill Academy does a great job of like preparing yourself for that opportunity that comes ahead, right? They run it and they treat you like a college athlete in the sense that they want to hold you accountable, and they kind of, the whole point of it is to be able to prepare you for that stage in your life when you get there, and for you to be successful. And I think that there's a reason why you're seeing a lot of kids within the NCAA, not just D1, both men's and women's, wearing the 45 or not wearing the 45, be able to be successful at that next level right away and make an impact on their team. Because they've been doing this for, whether it's 1 year, 4 years, right? They've been doing that for, however long they were at the Hill. And it kind of, shows the amount of time they've been kind of preparing themselves to do such things.
Yeah, love it. Did you say wearing the 45? I don't know if I understood that reference.
Yeah, so a big thing kind of with the Hill Academy is wearing the number 45. He was a lacrosse player, one of the first kind of students that went there by the name of Jameson Coleman had passed away on the field, kind of playing for his club. He was kind of a little bit of a troubled kid, kind of going through his upbringing in Toronto, but then his parents decided to send him to the Hill. He wasn't necessarily the best player in the world, but he was a great teammate and worked his ass off pretty hard. He wore number 45. So I guess, this was going on, I think it's year 15. The Hill's been around now. Those first kind of group of seniors that kind of graduated vowed to wear the number 45 on at the next level. In this 45, Penny kind of gets passed along every day at the Hill, for the hardest working guy at practice, right? And that's kind of the culture the Hill's built since they've been around. And most kids, if they have the opportunity to, they'll wear the number 45 at the next level to honor his legacy and kind of carry it on with that tradition. That's amazing.
That's amazing. We had something similar on my team, on my college team. There's Doug Shudo, who died in a fire when he went back and tried to save some of his fraternity brothers, and he was number 4. And for the longest time, the number 4 was retired for Doug Shudo, and then they brought it back, and they allow the player that demonstrates the most heart on the team to wear that number. So it's a huge honor. It sounds like that's kind of the same idea of the 45 for you guys.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, you get to carry on a legacy that somebody didn't get the opportunity to. It allows you to kind of be more grateful for the opportunities that you have each and every day and to be able to play the sport, right? I think it's a great thing, and I'm not sure necessarily, but, there's another one that passed away at the Hill, the number 18 for Evan Fistaglio, right? And, my roommate, Brody Anderson, actually wears 18 for him as well, kind of being a Hill guy, because N45 was taken unfortunately for him. So, but yeah, so I think that, yeah, being able to carry on someone's legacy who's not able to do that is very important. And you'll see a lot of guys too from the Whitby area, Oshawa area that I play with, wear the number 51 as well to kind of honor, Tucker Williams' legacy, who also passed away. Young kid with cancer passed away. He was a very touching kid, great kid, always had a smile on his face. And a lot of people carry on his legacy when they go down to the States as well and wear the number 51. So you'll see guys, not only Dyson Williams were 51 at Duke, but, Sean Wesley at St. Bonaventure, David Cormack at Monmouth University, right? You'll see a lot of guys carry on legacies like that.
Awesome. That's great. That's great. Well, Brett, thanks so much. This was awesome. Thanks for sharing your story. What's your current stick setup for the field?
I can show it to you. I got you right over here. This is the one that I
let's check it out.
Finished with. So I got the STX Eclipse 2 going right now on a Maverick Apollo player shaft. I use the Grizzly 1X, so the semi-hard stuff. I like that better than the 2 because it's a little thicker and it doesn't bag out as much. And I also like this stuff once it's fully broken in. It's kind of like the 1S, but I feel like it might give up 1 or 2 more rebounds, but it helps a lot more with the outlet pass. I think the outlets are very important, especially in college. I mean, you play defense hard for 80 seconds, and if you fail to clear the ball, that same group of guys is gonna have to go out there again and again, and so you got to kind of value the ball. I mean, ball security is job security, right? So I think outlet passes are very important. And then I'm kind of just rolling with the 2 nylons up top here on top of the 1 shooter, as well as the 4 diamond U at the top here. It's kind of setup I've been rolling with since I was in high school. Same pattern. Big fan of it. Does the job for me. I don't see myself changing the head anytime soon, but from what I've heard from Coach Mike and Coach Andrew, that the new East Coast Ice Goalie that's rumored to be coming out soon could be the one that might send me over the top and possibly change over to that. So we'll play that by ear when that thing gets released and go from there. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm rolling with right now.
Love it.
I like it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to dethrone that STX Eclipse 2. I mean, it took them 20 years to come out with the second version of that head, but it's good. It's good. I mean, everyone's using it. Everyone's using it right now. It's awesome. Do you string your own heads?
Yeah, I stringer. I used to work at a place in Canada called the Lax Shack. It's basically the equivalency to Lacrosse Unlimited here in Canada. I was a stick stringer there. We'd always have this big lacrosse festival, and I'd be one of the guys stringing the sticks up. I string my own sticks up. I string a lot of guys' sticks up at school. You'll kind of see when I kind of string up a couple of sticks like through a while, you kind of look at my hands, like it kind of gets, like you'll see it starts to callus a bit here, and the skin starts to peel off, right? So I've been stringing a couple of sticks up since I've been home for a lot of guys now. I like doing that stuff. I'm a pretty big lax rat when it comes to that kind of stuff. I've been around the game for a while. I think understanding how your stick's strung and how you string your stick up a certain way allows you to kind of be successful and be able to put the ball where you want to be able to put it. I mean, if I string my own stick, so if I know that my stick's not thrown right, I can make the adjustment. But if somebody who's not a lax rat, doesn't like stringing their own sticks up, they might be new to it, right? And they might be having some issues with their sticks. So I think I'm kind of grateful for that. I always found, it being a hobby for me, something that I can kind of craft myself with and utilize. So I kind of enjoyed that a lot growing up, and kind of carried its way out here now. You learn a lot of things through string sticks up too, right? You're gonna fail at times. You're gonna have sticks that are gonna hook when you're first starting to do it. But once you kind of get good at it and you get confident in yourself, you're able to kind of do a good job with that setup and being able to kind of talk about what different stringers want, what different players want in their sticks as well.
Yeah, it looks like you got a little bit of depth in that pocket there.
Yeah, decent amount. I mean, it's not too bad, but I like to kind of tighten it up at the bottom here a bit. I used to give up a lot of rebounds here with the old kind of cancer ribbon bottom string. So I kind of want to innovate with it a bit and kind of weave it like a shooting string through it here, because at the time I was using like the String King 1S, and that's supposed to not give up any rebounds, right? So I was thinking, well, what if I tied the mesh together and had it down there? And the fibers in the mesh is supposed to not give up rebounds, right? So let's maybe try and utilize that within my bottom string. So yeah, it tightens up a bit. If I let it go a bit more, it'd be a little deeper. Right now, this one's a little warped and offset. I used it all season this year. Had to switch my mesh out after our last game. It was ripping all across the diamonds at the top. So this one's not yet fully broken in, but the stick's a little warped, so it gives a little more depth to it.
Got it. Talk a little bit about the player shaft. So just a normal, attack length shaft. Why do you go with that?
I mean, I kind of started out with it for a couple of reasons. One, goalie length shafts are more expensive. My parents didn't want to buy me new gear, and we're a little bit cheaper on that side, so it was cheaper to get that for A. And I think B too, like playing player growing up, I think it's more comfortable in my hands. Like I enjoy, having my stick. Like I like bringing the stick out to coach, even shoot sometimes with it, right? Like it's an extension of your body at the end of the day, right? So being able to throw and shoot with your stick is something that I take pride in. I felt with that longer shaft, it was kind of making it harder to be able to do such thing and kind of go out there and enjoy it. But I just like kind of just having the shaft. I mean, why fix what ain't broke, right? I feel like I've been using this since I was younger. Maybe different lengths as I kind of got, a little bit older, and it made its way to just the regular attack length shaft. But yeah, price definitely played a factor in it too.
That's funny. That's funny. I played with a regular player shaft when I played, but I wasn't expecting you to say price because it's just so light. It just feels so light and quick, and like that's part of my game is like being a smaller goalie. Like I need to be super quick, and that thing just felt, when I put on the longer shaft, I just felt like it was too much weight for me.
Yeah, and I mean, I was taping it up all the way up too. There's like a kind of like a tan mark on here where I would tape up to it. It would just kind of like be right here. So when I could kind of like drop my hands on the throw, it would be like perfect right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like match my hands up there. But, I've taken the tape off it. I want to kind of get those hands a little bit lighter. I noticed a bit of a difference with it. But one of the things I've noticed now since I've taken the tape off, like you can kind of see, looking at the bottom here, it's kind of curved in a bit. So we'll see how that goes. The Apollo shaft's also very light. And this is one of the older models of it. And I'm kind of very protective and in particular about it, so I don't like to kind of mess it up.
Is that from checking the pipes?
Yeah, like just like tapping the posts and stuff like that. Yeah. But I mean, that's probably could have happened over a while or throughout the year. I mean, I've used the shaft since the fall, and there's no warranty on it, so I can probably see why.
Awesome. Brett, if people wanted to get a hold of you, ask you a question, what's the best place for them to reach you?
You can always shoot me a DM on Instagram. That'd be the best place. I spend a lot of time on there. B Dobson_45 on Instagram or Twitter would be a great spot to message me. Not only if you get a question, but if you're looking for some individual lessons as well, or even some group lessons, be a great place to go and be on the lookout for, a Brett Dobson goalie school experience coming out soon.
I love it. I love it. Brett, if you had to leave the goalies out there with a final piece of advice, what would that be?
Enjoy the game and try and go out there and get 1% better, maybe even 2 each and every day.
Awesome. Brett, thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for the opportunity, Damon.